With Palm Sunday, with Passion Sunday, we actually enter into Holy Week, which is the holiest week of the year. And there's just a very decided turn. There's a decided bent where we really start to focus on the crucifixion and death of Jesus, because we know that it's in his death that death was conquered. We know that this is the greatest gift that he could give to us. It's through his own death that we have that hope for eternal life. And when we look through the scriptures, when we look through the Gospels, I mean, especially on either Palm Sunday, this year the Gospel comes from St. Luke, and then Good Friday, and every year on Good Friday the Gospel comes from St. John, both Passion readings, the really long one. But that's one of those times where it's really good for us just to look and to sit with it. And we really could look at a lot of different things that are going on. Because when we look at both Gospels, we see, on the one hand, we see Jesus' absolute physical suffering, his crucifixion, his death. We know that he was whipped and that he was beat. We know that a crown of thorns was put on his head. But we can also look to the more interior type sufferings that he would have faced. We could look to all of what he would have been going through with all of the times somebody betrayed him, not just Peter. I mean, Peter followed at a distance, but we know that the disciples basically ran away, except for John and a couple of the women. We could look to that we could look to him in the agony in the garden. We heard about that today, where Jesus was so filled with anxiety that he literally sweated blood. That's like a real thing, too. We could look to all of this. We could look even to the times what brought him to all of this. When we could look through, like anybody who has likes looking at logic and legal type stuff. Sometimes they're two completely different things, but we could look at the times where basically people were lying to get Jesus into court. That people were lying in order to get him crucified. We could look to John's gospel when they said things like, well, the Pilate asked the people, why did you bring him here? What charge you level against this man? And they basically said, well, we wouldn't have brought him here if he wasn't guilty. And that worked, which is all sorts of messed up if we think about it. We could look to all of that. But I think the one thing that's really important for us to look at throughout, especially throughout Holy Week, is the reason that Jesus went through all of this. Why did Jesus endure all of this suffering? Not only the physical suffering, but that internal, emotional suffering, that spiritual suffering that he took on, knowing that he was that he was going to be crucified for us. Why would he do that? It's the same answer that whenever we look to a crucifix, it's the same thing. It's because that's how much he loves you.